Okay folks, welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking time out of your day to click on this video and watch. Let's talk about my game plan here for the hull panels, for attaching the hull panels here on the sides. We're going to start on the sides first, and then we'll work our way over to the bottom panels. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the hull panels into top and bottom sections, and there we go. And we're going to have a top section that's going to overlap the bottom section, and I'm going to start this whole process by making this bottom section first. And remember, this boat is flipped over, it's inverted, so what you're looking at right here is going to be the bottom half of the hull panels, and then this will be where the top half will attach. And so the game plan is to fabricate and attach the bottom half first, and you see those notches right there, and all these ribs in the bulkhead right here, and back here at the stern. You see where I cut the notches. That's where the top edge of the bottom half of the hull panel is going to rest, and then the top half, I'll fabricate those pieces, and they will overlap, I think about an inch and a half. I don't have a final dimension on that just yet, but that will give me that line that will run all the way down the length of the boat. And in addition to just making it look better and just breaking up, what would otherwise be just a flat panel, I think it will also make this section just a little bit stiffer, because I'll have a 1/4 inch sheet overlapping a 1/4 inch sheet. So I'll have a 1/2 inch thick strip right along in this area here, and I think they'll just make the side panels just a little bit stiffer, in addition to just making it look better. So that's the game plan. All I gotta do now is get busy and start fabricating hull panels. Stay tuned. Next segment. Okay folks, welcome back. In order to cut these plywood sheets down to the dimensions that I need, I've got to get them out here in the driveway or out in the front yard, lay them down flat so I can put my guide bar on them. And as you can see, it's raining, and it's been doing this all week. It's been pretty much raining off and on all week. I have not had a chance to get the plywood out here where I can work with it and cut it because of the weather. So we got a little rain delay going on right now, but just as soon as the weather clears up, we'll get these sheets out and start marking them and start cutting them. Okay folks, welcome back. Well, since I cannot cut panels right now, it's still raining, and I don't know if you can see that, but big old dark cloud headed this way. It's fixing to rain some more. What I can do is go ahead and mix up some epoxy and start filling in all these little areas that I could not get to when the boat was sitting the other way. So now that's what I'm going to do. I've got to get that done, and I've got to get in here. Let me get a better angle on that. I've got to get in here, and I've got to fill all this up too with this epoxy. I got to make me a nice little fillet bead in here, same as I did right here. And again, this is a good time to do it before I put these panels on. I still have access to this area, so yeah, might as well just use the time to go ahead and get all that done. Alright, catch you next segment. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I just mixed up a little bit of resin, and all I'm doing right now is I'm just coating down this entire area right here with resin to waterproof it. And then when I get all this wet down, now I'm going to wet the whole area down, not just the corners, but the whole area gets wet down. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and mix up a little bit of epoxy, put the thickener in it, and then just apply the beads into these corners. But this all needs to be done in order to waterproof this and just protect it. So, alright, now I'm going to get back to it. Okay, so in addition to applying resin to the bottom of that poling platform structure back there near the stern, I also came up here to the bow and I hit the bottoms of these gussets right here. Let me let that car go by. I think they can hear him all the way over in Dallas. I'm in Fort Worth, by the way. Yeah, okay, park it, buddy. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and mix up the thickened epoxy here in a minute and put it in these corners. And I also came up here to this little brace. This brace I installed between these ribs, and you saw that probably about 4 or 5 videos ago. And coming in here and I'm waterproofing this and just using my leftover resin to come in here and catch all these edges and just coat everything down. Everything you see right here is going to have to be coated with resin at some point. That's why I can't take these 4x8 sheets of plywood out in the rain and make all my cuts, because you might be saying to yourself, so, well, you know, this is a boat and it's going to see water, isn't it? Well, yeah, that's right, but there's no protective coating, there's no resin, there's no paint. Even though it is a marine grade plywood, it will still damage it. Water will still damage it because it is raw, it is unfinished, it is unprotected. So that's why I'm doing all of this right here, and it's to give it a protective coating. And so that's what I've got going on this afternoon. I'm going to just use the time to get all this stuff done, and that's about it for now. We'll see you in the next segment. Okay, folks, welcome back. So that's all done. Got these little beads laid in there, thickened epoxy. Got all this wet down with the resin. I did that beforehand, as you saw. And now all I need to do, I just need to come over here to the bottom of this cap, and remember, that's the top cap for the gunnel, and I got to do the same thing to the bottom of this that I did right here. Just wet it all down. We got to make it waterproof, and then lay a bead in this corner. I'm not going to do that today. And I got this done right here. Got that bead laid in there. Got those. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 beads of thickened epoxy laid in. Got all those wet down, and started wetting down the bottoms of these braces. You saw me doing that earlier. All this bare wood eventually has to be coated with resin in order to waterproof it. We'll get to it. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay, folks, I'm going to wrap this video up. I was hoping to be cutting out the panels for the hull right now, but as you can see, this weather's going to have me shut down for a while. So, alright, we will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Hey folks, welcome back. Well, I was hoping to have the hull panels cut out, and what I had hoped to be able to do was to get them to the point to where I could get them ready for the scarf sled and get ready to make that little scarf cut on the ends like I had talked about in one of my previous videos. But that didn't happen. You saw what the weather was doing. So, you know, I did make good use of my time, got some other stuff done, so, you know, at least it wasn't the day wasn't a total waste. In my last devotional, I talked about what might have been if Jesus' disciples had stood their ground, if they'd been as brave as they claimed to be the night that Jesus was arrested. Now remember, they all had claimed that, you know, they were ready to die with Jesus that night. But when push came to shove, of course, as we know, they all deserted Jesus. They all took off and ran, headed for the hills. And I asked the question, you know, what if they had been as brave as they claimed to be? And I speculated a little as to how that would have changed history and how things might have been different. But even though they were all weak in that moment, later on they were remorseful, and I'm sure they grieved over their failure. But, you know, we can also be sure that every one of them asked to be forgiven, and the Lord did indeed forgive them, because, you know, they all went on to preach the gospel, and, you know, they went on to become the world changers that God called them to be. And eventually, all but one of them, John, they did die a martyr's death. They were put to death for their faith in Jesus Christ. It just happened later on in their lives and not on the night that Jesus was arrested. Peter, though, he was especially grieved. And to his credit, now, he didn't take off running like the others did, but he did deny Jesus 3 times. And he did that after Jesus told him he was going to do it. And when it happened, when he heard the rooster crow, I'm sure that his heart just completely melted inside him. On Resurrection Sunday, Peter was told, the tomb was empty. He was told about the empty tomb. And I've studied the resurrection account very carefully in all 4 of the Gospels, and I've looked closely at everything that took place that morning, and I'm convinced that Peter went to the empty tomb not once but twice that morning. He was desperate to find Jesus. And the first to see Jesus that morning, of course, was a group of women who had gone to the tomb to anoint Jesus' body. Now, by the time they got there, Jesus had risen. Of course, the women were the first to encounter the risen Christ. And when he saw the women, he told them to tell the disciples, go to Galilee, and he would meet them there. Now, at some point, Peter decides, he's just going to go back to his old life as a fisherman. Now, according to John chapter 21, that was when Jesus appeared to Peter and the other disciples. They'd been out fishing all night, and the other disciples, they went out with Peter, said, you go fishing, we'll go too. So they'd been out fishing all night, and they hadn't caught a thing. And that was when Jesus appeared on the shoreline. And he called out to them, like everyone does when they see a fisherman. When they see someone fishing, they say, have you caught anything? No, not even a nibble, they said. And so Jesus said, and we'll pick up the account in John chapter 21, verse 6. Jesus said to them, cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some. So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because of the quantity of fish. That disciple whom Jesus loved, now this is John, this is how John always talks about himself in his gospel. That disciple whom Jesus loved therefore said to Peter, it is the Lord. And when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he was stripped for work, and threw himself into the sea. And the other disciples followed behind in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from land, but about 100 yards off. I would say that if Peter was desperate enough to swim 100 yards, he was desperate to get right with Jesus, and he was that desperate. Well, the truth is, we all need to be that desperate. We all need to get right with Jesus. Now, Peter, of course, was forgiven and restored by the Lord, and we'll talk about that in the next devotional. But Peter was forgiven and restored not because he jumped into the sea and swam 100 yards ashore. It was because of the grace and the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ. And that is the good news of the gospel. We don't have to jump in water and swim 100 yards. Personally, I don't think I can make it 10 yards without running out of breath. But the point is, we don't have to work for our salvation. All we need to do is accept the free gift of God's grace through faith in Jesus Christ. And like I said, that is good news, folks. That is all I have for you tonight, and I thank you for watching. And as I always like to remind you, this channel is also a ministry, and I do take prayer requests, and please leave those in the comments section down below. I do moderate my comments. I do filter them, but I do check my comments section fairly frequently, and I will get those posted. So until next time, I thank you for watching, and God bless, and folks, take care, and we'll see you next time.